Joining me now is Sky News U.S. politics analyst and former Australian ambassador to the U.S., Joe Hockey. Joe, thanks so much for coming on tonight from the Republican National Convention. Before I ask you about J.D. Vance's incredible speech, which he just delivered, I want to ask about the Democrats who have stolen a bit of the spotlight from the Republicans with reports that Chuck Schumer and others have conveyed views that Joe Biden needs to step aside and let somebody else run the race in November. What are you hearing, and have you spoken to any Democrats about what the mood is on that side of the aisle as far as Joe Biden continuing in the office is?
Well, as I've been saying for a few days, senior Democrats have said to me that there is a high level of despair amongst Democrats about where the party is at and the refusal of Joe Biden to stand aside and give Kamala Harris the nomination. It is getting to an extreme point. The tide is going out on the Democrats rapidly. Internal polling by the Democrats, which they are now leaking everywhere, is indicating that a whole lot of states, including Virginia and New Hampshire, are coming into play for the Republicans when just a few weeks ago there was no chance the Republicans were there. And it's all coming back to the fact that 80% of Democrat voters think Joe Biden shouldn't run again, and the overwhelming majority of Americans feel incredibly saddened about Joe Biden's cognitive health issues, but at the same time recognise that he's just not going to be around for 4 years, and they want a reasonable alternative to Donald Trump.
Yeah, no, look, I think that's fair enough. But let's go now to the convention. J.D. Vance earlier wrapped up a speech which I think represents a huge realignment, generational and politically, of the Republican Party. He talked about NAFTA, free trade, globalism. Let's have a little listen to a bit of that.
We're done, ladies and gentlemen, catering to Wall Street. We'll commit to the working man. We're done sacrificing supply chains to unlimited global trade, and we're going to stamp more and more products with that beautiful label, made in the USA.
As people remark to me around here, the fact is, who would have thought that someone who grew up as a hillbilly would end up on the stage as a potential vice president of the United States? It really is a rags to riches story, and it's a great story, and it's got a direct appeal. But having said that, James, I want to be clear. Donald Trump doesn't feel the need to have someone tokenistic as vice president. He wasn't focused on colour or gender or where they were from, as he might have been in 2016 with Mike Pence. He believes he's got the nomination, and he totally understands how to win this election. He brought on J.D. Vance because he's a believer in Trump 2.0.
Well, this is a really interesting thing, Joe, is that we've now seen him not go for some moderate to try and balance the ticket. This seems to me to be a real realignment of what the Republicans stand for. You know, 40 years ago, it might have been the party of free trade. They might have backed in NAFTA, which J.D. Vance criticized fiercely as being part of the reason why his community in Ohio lost so many jobs. Free trade, all of these things. The fact that J.D. Vance is 39, and he pointed out the fact that he's been alive for less time than Joe Biden has been in politics, which I thought was a powerful kind of passing the torch moment, represents a real shift of the Republicans away from the party of Wall Street, the party of capital, to being the party of the working man, which the Democrats seem to have abandoned.
Well, one of the old salts here at the convention said to me that the last time a union figure as significant as the head of the Teamsters addressed a Republican convention was for Nixon way back. More than 50 years ago. And when he spoke, he seemed to have some recollection of that. The fact is that people are still talking about having the head of the Teamsters speak at the Republican National Convention yesterday as we were joking, maybe John Secker had turned around and addressed the Liberal Party convention in Australia. I mean, it's so ridiculous, right? But it does illustrate that the Republican Party under Donald Trump is reaching for a whole new constituency, and that constituency has been abandoned by the Democrats. They're the blue-collar workers that they don't want to hear about, people's pronouns and about gender transfers and all these things. They just want to live their lives and have the opportunity to keep a job, and all their dreams can be delivered in a prosperous and safe and secure nation. That's what they want. And they feel that they are abandoned by the Democrats. And along comes Donald Trump, and he reaches out to them. And not only is he fighting for them, he also is bringing along a team that is speaking for them. And that's a powerful message at the moment, targeted directly at, states like Wisconsin, Philadelphia and Michigan. And really those three states are the key ones at the moment. And it's pretty clear that J.D. Vance is going to have a very significant role campaigning in those states.
Yeah, and Joe, I thought also there was a really interesting bit of the speech where he talked about immigration and about how America welcomes people to the American family, but that they do it on their terms. Let's have a little listen to that.
America is not just an idea. It is a group of people with a shared history and a common future. It is, in short, a nation. Now, it is part of that tradition, of course, that we welcome newcomers. But when we allow newcomers into our American family, we allow them on our terms.
Well, it sounds very similar to the bipartisan policy position in Australia, where we want to control our borders, we want to stop illegal immigrants, and we want to have immigration, but we want to have sensible levels of immigration and good immigration. That's the point. The policies of the Republican Party are not much different to Australia, and certainly they've been very contentious immigration policies and so on in the UK in their recent elections. If we know anything, is when people feel as though you don't control the borders, then they don't believe the government is giving them the security they need. And last year, in the last 4 years, 11.5 million illegal immigrants have crossed from Mexico into the United States. 11.5 million. Last year alone, over 300,000 unaccompanied children were sent across that border. So there is a crisis. Australians wouldn't cop it, whether they're Liberal, Labor or National or anything. They wouldn't cop it. We don't even cop one boat or two boats, let alone having 11.5 million people come illegally.
Yeah, just unbelievable numbers. Joe Hockey, U.S. politics analyst, and of course, former Australian ambassador to the U.S. Thank you so much for joining us on Paul Murray Live.
Thanks very much, James. Thank you.